Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast, or as I should say this morning, good day, mate. I'm your host Clayton at Clates AFC on Twitter, and I'm joined by my co-host at FPL Nima. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good mate. I've had a good 5 game weeks, mate. But yeah, no,
It's
I'm
just who we
really
are, mate.
yeah. I think obviously we're here for the Aston Villa previews, another short and quick one like the Luton preview, 15 minutes all out. But it just
It would be
something that
rude
we
of
would,
us to not
yeah,
acknowledge,
exactly.
mate.
Yeah, we have to laugh about yesterday, right? Like we have to laugh about yesterday. Obviously Tottenham were playing at home against West Ham. They went 1 goal ahead again for like the fifth successive game and proceeded to get 0 points.
Is
So
that
they
right?
now have a
Fifth
yes.
successive game, they went 1-0 up.
It must be the fifth because I
Damn.
remember when they did it the third or fourth time, it was a record in Premier League history of a team going 1 goal up and losing. So
Wow.
now they've made that record and then extended that record by
They
multiple games.
They make me laugh. I feel like they're the only club, them and Man United, where the inside circles of that club can never see what's about to happen, but everyone else can see it. Do you remember what I said when after the Chelsea game with the suspensions and injuries? I said I don't think they'll win any of their next three. It's turned on to go and be their next five, but I just
It's been
like, and
pretty bad,
I've
hasn't
said
it?
this before. Like, I actually rate the way Ange tries to play football, but it's defensively, there's so many question marks, and like the media love it, and I just don't get it. And so that is just fucking funny, man. Yeah. What was the thing you said to me just off air? Like, if they lose this weekend, and
Yeah, so if they lose to Newcastle this weekend and West Ham and Brighton win their matches that they have, then Spurs will be in ninth by the end of the weekend. So it's like that
fuck,
is wild. That is wild. When you think about that, they just won 3 back-to-back manager of the months, and
yeah, literally,
like a
I
month. Like a month is a quick time in football.
I literally just think like, Ange. Again, I say philosophically, I rate the way he tries to play football, but I just think he's a PR machine. Like, all he does is try to rehearse these sound bites and all of this bollocks. And you rewind to that. Was it Sheffield United at home where Basuma's bringing his fucking kid on the pitch? Palace
Yeah,
away. I
yeah,
want to say I saw a
third
inflatable
game they were
trophy in
bringing
the crowd.
children in, and like like third
Ah,
game in they were bringing wife and kids on the pitch. Fifth, sixth game in, there's videos of them all like um, linking arms and running to the fans and pushing Richarlison to do like a little sprint. Like it's all just chaos, mate. Like
yeah.
that was
But
the best it was going to get for them this season. I think. I
yeah,
think it's already the decline has already begun. It's
yeah,
pretty sad.
literally. But we got to be careful what we say because we got a tough fixture ourselves, don't we? So we're
Yeah,
going
that's why
away
we had
to,
to get it out while we could.
yeah,
But
get
now
out of
we've
the
got to look at the
systems.
match ahead.
Yeah, so we're going to an Aston Villa team that haven't lost at home in 14 games. And you know who the last team was to beat them at Villa Park?
I think it was us in February.
It was us in February. And it's funny that game. Like, I remember we absolutely cooked them. Like, I remember the whole narrative of, well, it wasn't a narrative, it was a fact, but the last minute winner, but that wasn't the game I watched, if that makes sense. And obviously it's a very different Villa team. They absolutely peppered City on Wednesday. I don't know if you watched that game.
Yeah, it was. I've never seen anything like it for Pep Guardiola's teams. Never,
Yeah,
genuinely never seen anything like it.
they
They
just
are the real deal, it looks like Villa. I am thinking that, they need to be taken seriously, like not just
oh,
for top
100%.
four, but generally. People are saying, oh, like they'll fall off top four once Europe fixtures come in. But really, like people thought Leicester would drop off too, and they won a title. So I know everyone's talking about Arsenal, Liverpool, and City as the main title challenges this season, but I wouldn't just dismiss Villa that simply. I would say they are starting to prove that they have depth, they can rotate, they can play different systems,
Yeah,
and Emery's found the right club for him. Like,
100%. Yeah,
I always rated him as a manager. I never had any hard feelings for him at his time at Arsenal, and it's nice to
same.
see him go and take points from City. But now we need to make sure that we kind of go and do what we need to do the business at Villa
Yeah.
Park.
So with that in mind, what would be your team to try and go and get 3 points there? So for the podcast listeners on the screen, we've got the lineup versus Luton, which was David Raya in goal. Back four was White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Kivior. Midfield three of Rice, Odegaard, and Havertz, and the front three was Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli. And I just have to shout out my mate Andrew B. He wants revenge for that fucking Watford game. We talk about this a lot when Watford absolutely peppered us under Unai Emery. So, Andrew is a friend of mine who absolutely, like me, hates the Unai Emery revisionism that's happening about his time at Arsenal. It's like, on one hand, he's doing very well at Villa, but I feel like people have rose-tinted glasses on his time at Arsenal. So, yeah. Morning, mate. So yeah, with that in mind, what would your lineup be for tomorrow? Or what? No, sorry, that's the wrong question. What do you think it will be?
So I do think Raya will continue to play. I think
Yep.
Zinchenko will come back in for Kivior. I think it will be White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko back to that back four. Um, Trossard becomes a question mark for me again. I think Martinelli's early sub means that the front three will still be Martinelli, Jesus, Saka. But
Yeah,
in the
me too.
midfield, I'm not sure who's going to partner Rice and Odegaard. I don't know if it's going to be
I've seen
Havertz
a
or
few
Trossard.
people on Twitter talking about like Jorginho coming in more of a double pivot. Would you do that, or do you think he'll do that?
So maybe not even Trossard or Havertz, but actually go for
Just,
Jorginho and Rice,
just
get some
twit,
control.
just Twitter
Yeah.
talk. It's just something
Yeah,
I've
I had
seen
seen
people.
that. I think it's maybe something more that people want because they think we'll be more defensively secure
Yeah,
and use Jorginho's kind of positioning sense to try and stop Villa's attacks, like break them up before they happen. But ultimately, I just think Havertz, like he had for me his best game for us at Arsenal so far in the last fixture against Luton. I
yeah.
just felt like he was doing everything, like and that connection with Jesus. I want to see it keep growing. So for me, I'm going to go with Havertz over Jorginho or Trossard. So basically, the only change from what we're seeing in the lineup versus Luton for me is Zinchenko and Fakivio.
I think it will be the exact same. I don't. Yeah, again, I wanted to bring it up because I was curious in your opinion, but I just don't think Arteta will tweak the system to be that defensive to cope with Villa. As good as they've been, I still think he'll go with what is working for us at the minute and try and take our game to them rather than reactively defend to their game. And I think there'll be kind of tweaks within the system on the day in different game states that will affect what we do. But fundamentally, I think Zinchenko, I think he has to play in this game, to be honest. I know we all, myself included, have big concerns about him in transitions, but I think this is a game where we really need to get on the ball and try and take the sting out of it. And you saw against City, like Villa's biggest strength is transitions, right? And powering through and pace. And I think that's where what we're quite good at this season is taking the sting out of games, and we can slow it completely down to gear 1 and 2. And with that in mind, I wouldn't actually play Zinchenko and Jorginho in this game, which makes me think
Mm,
he wouldn't go Jorginho because I think as much as I'm talking about you need control, I think we have enough there with Zinchenko and the others to control it. I think if you put Zinchenko and Jorginho in the same team, then what you're getting with control, you're also losing with the ability to defend in transition. So
yeah,
with that in
no,
mind, that's what
that's fair.
I
I
actually
think
think we miss.
Zinchenko as well. Like we noticed when he came on, I know we
He
both
was
said that we didn't feel Kivior did much like wrong or right, like it was just a meh performance, but he needs them to gel in for the later fixtures in the season. With Zinchenko, when he came on, he was only on for about 30 minutes and he made more passes than Kivior.
and he
Like,
was
and our
pretty.
possession instantly went up. Like we
Yeah,
went from like a cagey match to like we suddenly had possession and we sustained pressure and ultimately it led to the winner, right? So
yeah,
I do feel that in a game like this, we want to try and slow Villa down and we want to try and maintain control. And I think Zinchenko is the one who's going to give us that. So
100%.
and with that in mind, I think your point's really solid about not having both him and Jorginho competing for the same spots in the midfield and zones. It would
Yeah,
be good to just have Zinni run that. I do think the rotation will come to an
yeah.
extent, but next midweek in the Champions League group stage game, obviously that sixth match. I'm not saying throw the kids out. I know we still want to do well, but that is the ideal game to play all the fringe players. So that's where
100%.
maybe we see like the Eddie start, the Trossard start, the Kivio start.
Yeah,
I wonder
Jorginho,
if Ramsdale even gets his start. Yeah, Jorginho.
Ramsdale. Yeah, agree.
I hope
Before we,
Ramsdale gets a Champions League start before he leaves.
I think he will. We'll have a look at the Villa team that beat Man City, but before we do that, got a few of the guys in the chat. Got Uncle Mike's in. Morning, lads. Hope you're good, mate. Looking forward to seeing you on Monday in Amsterdam. We got FPL fella in. What do we think of Tottenham? Dan was actually at the game last night in the away end, I believe. So
Wow, he
Dan,
must have had a great time.
yeah. So for people listening on the podcast that don't know him, Dan's a big West Ham fan. So yeah, I bet you had a great night. Let us know what that was like. Uncle Mike going, oi oi, Dan. Blue Danube Joe, good to see you, mate. Good morning, all. Best away defense versus best home attack should be good. Should be good indeed.
I'm really excited. I think it's going to be like a blockbuster game. Like if you're a
So,
neutral, this game is like hopefully entertainment gold and
yeah,
tactical masterclass from both sides, trying to bring on subs to twist the game in their favor. Like I honestly think it's going to be really difficult.
yeah,
But
me
with that
too.
in mind, should we see who we think they will start with? Because they've been changing their systems a lot. Matty Cash seems to have disappeared from the starting lineup. I think that's
Yeah,
all to do with Leon Bailey's form. I think it's
I
actually he is the one leading to the changes in kind of the entire system. He looked
yeah,
fantastic. He took his goal very well against Man City. Like I'm very happy for Leon Bailey because I know he struggled with injury in his career at Villa. He always looked great before he came to the Premier League.
yeah.
And it just didn't feel like it was quite working out for him when he got here, did it?
No, exactly, and yeah, obviously he was a bit fortunate with the deflection, but his general game was really good. So for the podcast listeners, their team against Man City that won 1-0 was obviously Martinez in goal, who we know he's going to be performing out of his skin. Back four was Conser, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres, and Luca Digne. Midfield three was Douglas Luiz, Kamara, and Tielemans. That's such a good midfield. And then out wide was McGinn and Bailey, and then Ollie Watkins was up top. I do actually think they may have to rotate a little bit just because we've had that one extra day rest. And like that game was so energetic. Like I think that would have taken a lot out of them. I'm just not really sure where the rotation will come in. Like, so I'm not adding any insight here. I think there'll be rotation, but I'm not sure where. Like maybe one of the central midfield areas, but I feel like they have to have Louise and Kamara. So like maybe someone will
Yeah.
come. McGinn goes central for Tielemans. Someone goes out wide. I don't know. I just feel like there will be one or two changes
Do you
because
see a world where Matty Cash gets back in and Diego Carlos gets dropped? So Consa moves back to centre back, Cash comes in at
possibly,
right back,
and then
Bailey
like
maybe comes off the bench and someone else plays right wing, Diaby. Because that's the
possibly,
thing, Diaby's not been starting. Diaby and Cash are both not starting, I think, because of Bailey, basically. That
yeah. And
entire change on that right hand pod has been purely, I think, to accommodate Bailey the last two games. And
do you know what?
so maybe
Oh,
he gets
sorry,
a
go on.
rest. Yeah, I
I
would say
think
maybe
that
it's Bailey who gets the rest and he comes on as like a super sub. I don't know.
also just thinking tactically. I know we've got both Martinelli and Saka that are threats, but the way they play at the minute with Conser allows Luca Dean to kind of bomb off on the left, and obviously Saka would then just kind of be there to kill them. So I wonder if part of the thinking would be like it's dangerous. You can't leave either Saka or Martinelli, but I wonder if part of the thinking would be I feel like Saka gets doubled and tripled up more than Martinelli does because yeah, I think that's what I feel. So I wonder if it will be a case of Cash comes in and they kind of overload and attack down their right hand side, and then Pau Torres will
Mm,
kind of play that inverted bit on the left and look to
yeah.
nullify Saka Odegaard. And yeah, Andrew makes a good point in the chat as well, which you basically just said. Diaby could come in because he's sure Bailey went off with an injury, so I missed that.
Yeah, Bailey, that's what I mean. Like Bailey's historically had a lot of injury problems and niggles, and I do think that starting 3 games in 7 days might be a bit of a stretch for him personally.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I can't remember the last time he would have started 3 games in 7 days in
no.
England. So yeah, so maybe that's the whole right hand side might change. What I will go and give a listen to though, Clayton, I think you should as well because it'll be good pre-match prep for us. Is on net that whole yesterday, Gabe had Craig Kemp on from Man on Pod. And
Oh,
he's a
he's a
big
Villa fan,
Villa
right?
fan. Yeah, he's a big Villa fan, really into his tactical analysis. So I wanted to
I'll have a
come into
listen.
this blind, yeah, and I didn't want to have his thoughts about Villa's style
Oh, you've
dictate
not
my
listened to it?
views. Yeah, so I've not listened. So I've made sure I
Ah,
don't want to give a score prediction with that knowledge. I
yeah,
want to do
sure.
it based on what I know. And then afterwards, today, I'm going to listen to what Craig says. But I know that he's just a real good tactician. Obviously, I think he
Yeah,
played with us at the Emirates, right?
yeah, he
When
did.
we
Yeah.
played that football match, the 7-a-side and the 11-a-side. So, yeah, like we love Craig. And for this weekend only, we will be enemies. But afterwards, we'll be friends again. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, I think go check that out because
I will do. Yeah.
I'll try to find which minute it's in and tell you. But
Well, I think you guys do timestamps on that show anyway, right?
I
So
don't know
I'll
if
be
the
able to
one
find.
yesterday is yet.
Okay, I'll find
I'll
it.
be adding them. But yeah, it's in the order of the fixtures. So
Cool.
if we're the 5:30 Saturday game, I
Yeah, just
assume think about 4 or 5 games in. Yeah.
I'll give
Cool.
that a
But yeah,
listen.
let's do the score predictions then. So 15 minutes, almost time to get out of here for the short and snappy pod.
Yeah, so yeah, like Blue Danube Joe said, it's the best away defense versus the best home attack, and I've done some digging on Villa a little bit. So offensively, for non-penalty XG per 90, which I believe is the best predictive measure of how good you are at creating chances, they're the third best team in the league. Defensively, for the same metric conceded, they're mid-table. So it's not like amazing defensively. I think we can cause them troubles, and especially the way I believe we've clicked in the last couple of games with the tactical tweak of Odegaard playing deeper to facilitate and then creating space upwards. I think we can create joy against them. I really do. I think we also have an ability in this team to nullify their biggest potential threat, which is transitions. I think that is, if you look at all of our mistakes, we've literally conceded the most individual errors leading to goals this season.
I think it's 5.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the top in the division.
Systematically, for non-penalty goals conceded per 90, we're comfortably the best now. We're 0.72 and City are 0.93. So I think we've got the ability to actually nullify their main threat, which is getting it out into wide areas quickly and powering through central areas. And obviously Rice is going to have a huge part to play in that. With all of that in mind, I also think like maybe this is a narrative thing, but that game against City was like highly
It was
taxing.
taxing, man. It was really like they put everything on the table. And obviously they've had 1 day less rest. So you would hope that would play into our hands.
Yeah.
I don't know if their midweek game next week, if it's a dead rubber or if they've already qualified out their groups as well. Obviously, we've got a dead rubber. So again, like, will they need to be conscious of the game next week? I don't know.
This is a
I
game.
I really think that just going away to their ground,
Yeah,
with the 14 home win streak
it
since
can't carry
February.
on forever.
That's what I
That's
mean.
all I
Like they've
say.
won 14 home games since February in a row at the Prem. I know they've lost in cups, but in the
Nottingham
Prem,
Forest had a great home record just before they've lost 2 on the bounce. So
I just feel that if you were to ask me now, would I take a draw away from home against them? I don't know if I would.
no, no chance. I'm not
I feel
taking a
like
draw
I feel
away.
like up until Anfield, we have to win every game if we want any chance of winning the title, because City are now like their points tally in the last 4, like winless in 4 or 5, or whatever. Like that is not going to happen again. Like that's not going to sustain for long. Like De
No.
Bruyne is going to come in,
And then
and
they've got a
things
good
are going
run
to get
anyway.
good. Yeah, things are going to get very good, very quick for them after these tough fixtures and the Club World Cup. So we need to get as many points on the board now as we can. So yeah, for that reason alone, I think the players, they know how much it means.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to go for it. Do you think that Arteta being in the stands will have any impact?
I do think it has a small impact, yeah, because I think he coaches the team a lot from the side, and I know he can do it with AirPod Albert, but I do think it makes a small difference. But
Apparently, he can't even talk to the coach. So it's like,
oh, is it?
so he can't tell Albert. He has to tell another guy next to Albert, and then that guy can tell Albert. So you're not allowed to directly talk to the guy running the game, but you
It's
can
like
talk to
Chinese
someone else
whispers.
next to him on the bench. Yeah. So he's telling like you, like, oh, like tell this guy to do that. Then he tells Albert, and then Albert misunderstands, and he tells someone else. And
You know what's going to happen? He's got to say something about Raya. It'll get mistranslated, and we'll finally see the Ramsdale sub come on.
he'll be like, sub Gabby off, and then they'll be like, which Gabby?
Yeah.
Have you noticed in the last few games, it's been playing on my mind. I know I don't want to go on a tangent, but I promise there's just 20
God.
seconds of this conversation. But I've been watching the last few games, and when like I just randomly every once in a while when we have like possession or when we need to press somewhere, I just hear Gabby.
Yeah, I
Gabby.
same.
I just hear it in the background. So I hear the crowd, I hear the football, and I just hear like Gabby. And I can't tell if it's Mikel or like Carlos Kester or one on the side. And I also don't know how the people on the pitch are meant to know which one he. So do they have like a code where like if he says Gabby out of possession, it means this guy. If he says Gabby in possession, it means that. If he says
Yeah.
Gabby in the first third, it means this. Like
I
How do
don't
they
know.
fucking know, man? I've just been hearing him shout Gabby like 10 times a game, and I have no idea how the guys on the pitch know which of the three fucking Gabbies he's
It's
talking
funny you
to.
bring that out because I've noticed the same thing, but I'd never questioned it. Like, how do they know which one they're talking about? Yeah, because I
Honestly, I've
imagine
been hearing it.
both of them just going like, me.
Yeah, like I've been trying to see if like one of them like changes their run or something when they hear the Gabby, or if all
Yeah,
three. Is it like all three do something at this whenever the Gabby shout comes? And his son is called Gabby as well, right?
is it?
And I think his wife might be called Gabriella. So like he's
Fucking
into
hell,
his
he's got a
Gabby.
fetish. Yeah.
Yeah, he's big time into Gabbies. But yeah. No, anyway, jokes aside, I didn't know if anyone else had noticed that, and it was
Yeah,
really
I
playing on my
definitely have.
mind.
Yeah.
It was really playing on my mind. So my score prediction then, I will
Yeah,
go
go on.
for, despite him being in the stands, despite Villa's great home record in the league, I honestly think this is the day that we show the rest of the league how serious we are. And I'm gonna
Same.
go for a 2-0 win.
2-0. Oof.
I'm gonna say
Nice.
clean sheet.
All right. Yeah, I like that. Before I give mine,
Even
just
though
want to.
Watkins is scary and I know that he could come
Yeah.
for us.
Before I give mine, just want to add two more comments. So one is from Uncle Mike saying they have played shit teams at home so far this season, other than City. Yeah, fair. And I just wanted to look at and dig into some of the home games, right? So City at home, fair play, they walloped them. They deserve that. Tottenham at home, they won 2-1, right? But statistically, the XG was 1.7 Villa, 2.3 Tottenham. So okay, questionable. Fulham at home, fair play, walloped them. Luton at home, walloped them. West Ham at home, it was 1.9 to 1.1, so it was close. And then the Brighton one, they won 6-1, but the XG was 1.6 to 1.7. So Chelsea, they won 1-0. It was 1 XG to 1.3. Like there are signs that they can be had, and I think it's one where potentially the outcome, and obviously you see that 14-game run then dictates what happens. And obviously we've seen this before. I'm not saying it's the same, but Unai Emery's run in Arsenal when we were winning everything, statistically there were signs that we could be had at. But with all of that in mind, I'm going 2-1 to the Arsenal. I just think this, similar to you, I think this will be a game where we show an emotional maturity that I think Villa are going to play in a game of adrenaline, and I think that will work in our favour. I think they're going to press us like fucking dogs, and then we'll just pop it
Out of
around
the
them.
gates, you're just going to see them coming for the
Yeah.
jugular, yeah.
And I just think if they press us like dogs, that is sometimes what I want teams to do to us, because we'll create overloads everywhere and just pop it around, create chances. And as
Maybe we'll
Andrew
see
said,
more space than we've seen in a long time against an opponent in the Prem. I honestly feel
exactly
that we're
that.
going to get opportunities that we just would not get against other teams who sit there and sit back and respect us and don't press.
Took the words out of my mouth. And that, as Andrew says, Unai Emery teams will have multiple chances to score.
I think we just have to be clinical on the weekend. I think it's one of those where both teams will get their chances. I trust our boys to be warriors and prevent them from scoring, which is hence why I've gone for the clean sheet. But then we need to do our bit, because if this game stays at 0-0 or they go 1-0 ahead, I think that changes the dynamic completely. Like, we need to just suffocate them, let them go gung ho for the first 10 minutes or whatever, get a goal in the first 15, 20 if we can. Because that will then make them more desperate, I think. And the more desperate they become, the more they run at us like dogs, as you say, then we'll have our chances to really put them to bed. I think we just we can't get complacent here. Like, we can't do what we've done in the past where we play 3-0 football at 1-0 and shit.
Yeah.
Like, we need to keep going and kill them off, because they could come anytime and take the points.
100%.
They are genuinely an exciting team to play against, and I'm so excited to watch this game, man. Honestly, I'm so excited.
I'm gonna be I'm going to Dublin this weekend, and I'm gonna be with another Gooner, so that'll be good. But one's a Spurs fan and one's a Liverpool fan. So Arsenal, don't let me down. Right.
Yeah, please don't let Clayton down, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, you Gunners.
Right, let's get ourselves out of here. Up the Arsenal, and we'll see you on Sunday for the review.
Up the Arsenal.